Learning the piano is not an easy task, especially if you are doing it self-taught. Back when I was just a mere child, I also happened to start self-taught before I started taking piano more seriously. In a recent poll on my community page, 42% of people have never had piano lessons. For those that don't have lessons and that are interested in learning the piano, it can be useful to learn second-hand by seeing someone else get some guidance. So in today's video, I'm going to react to a video by Joel Snape of his 1 year's piano progress. So let's get into it. So interestingly, he's on a 61 key keyboard. It looks like a Casio. It's important to note the difference between a keyboard and a piano or an electric piano. A keyboard is more similar to a synthesizer where you have a lot of different sounds on it and you usually split it so that you play chords in the left hand and a melody in the right. Whereas on the piano, you usually use a piano sound and you have both hands doing different things at different times. I would normally suggest when you start the piano not to get a 61 key keyboard because it just won't last very long. And especially now, for a very similar price, you can get an 88 key weighted key electric piano for a similar cost. The difficulty with these types of keyboards is the keys press down so easy and they feel very plasticky, so when you go to play a real piano or an electric piano, it feels completely different. And also, a lot of the time, the width of the keys is different, so it might be good for the very basics of learning the piano because the keys are obviously laid out in the same way, but you will very, very quickly outgrow it. Für Elise is a Beethoven classic, however, for day 4 of learning the piano, I think it's probably slightly too advanced. The difference between a self-taught pianist and a pianist that has a teacher is probably this exact thing, where self-taught pianists want to learn the thing that they want to learn straight away, no matter how difficult it is.
I want it now, don't care how, I want it now.
And pianists that have a teacher are forced to delay that gratification and work through the steps to get to the point where they're really competent and able to play those kind of pieces.
Patience, patience, my love.
I mean, I would say that Für Elise is probably a grade 3 or 4 standard, so if you are starting out, it's probably not the best piece to play. And he also seems to be doing it by memory, which means he's stopped associating the notes on the page with what he's playing with his fingers, which will probably present a problem further down the line when he's trying to read music fast or sight read, because he's not going to be used to reading the notes as he's playing. It looks to me like he might have got back into reading music there, which is good. Obviously, this is far too late because he's past his year of piano progress. However, at this point, I would have probably suggested 2 things. One is to isolate the parts of the music that are the weakest so that he can concentrate on those sections and make them perfect, rather than what seems to be playing it through. And the second is to think about how the music is supposed to feel. At the end of the day, music is all about trying to convey emotion, and even though you are trying to learn, if you isolate parts of music down enough, you make it easy enough that you can then concentrate on how to play it rather than just what you're playing. And once again, that's the difference between someone who is entering learning the piano and someone who is more experienced. You concentrate more on how things feel rather than just what you're playing. So he's now 146 days in. How much is that in months? 5 months in? And this is where this 61 key keyboard also presents another problem. And that is the fact that he can't learn how to use the sustain pedal because he doesn't have one. For this type of piece of music where you've got a bass note that's jumping up to a chord like this, because the bass note and the chord he's playing afterwards are all part of the same chord, usually you would use the pedal to connect them. And because there is no pedal, obviously you can't introduce that, and it'll take him longer to learn when he's better at playing the piano. The reason that learning to add the pedal in later on is going to be more difficult is because obviously what he'll be playing with his hands will be more complex. And learning where to add the pedal in adds that extra layer of confusion when you've already got a lot going on. Sounds to me like his playing's getting a little bit more sensitive to how the song feels, which is cool. I think I first learnt this song when Terry Crews did it in the film White Chicks.
And I need you, and I miss you.
It's an absolute classic. We have a different piano, an electric piano, which is very good. He's obviously taking it more seriously now. That should mean as well that he also has a pedal, which means he can start adding that in. The books that are underneath the piano can't be too important. He's obviously not going to read them anytime soon. So he's nearly a year in at 345 days, and this is Mozart's Piano Sonata in C major. And although this piece is in C major, so it predominantly just uses the white notes, it's still quite a difficult piece, especially to get at the right speed or tempo. So I'd maybe say it's a little bit of a steep jump from Vanessa Carlton.
And I need you.
But he's playing it at a manageable speed that he can obviously play it, and he's got good technique while playing it. So he's doing a pretty good job. So I like the fact that he's finished with the same piece that he started with. That is a really good way of testing progress. If you play a piece and then don't play it so that you've forgotten it and then pick it up again at some point, you'll see the difference in how you approach it. However, interestingly, he's still not using the pedal, which is something that should have been added in a lot earlier on. And for a piece like Für Elise, which was written by Beethoven, so late 1700s, early 1800s, he should be using the pedal for a piece like this. But either way, he's made some very good progress. And he also said in the description that he'd been practicing scales throughout for technique, which is good. Let me know what you thought in the comments, and if you want to see the video that I did 2 years ago, head on through, and I will see you there.